All wings report in.
HouseDog, standing by.
Mother Goose, standing by.
Lock S-foils in attack position. Animal Squadron ready for battle.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Animal Squadron podcast. I am your host, HouseDog, and with me, as always, my co-pilot, the BB-8 to my Poe Dameron, the 3PO to my R2-D2, Mother Goose. Hello, buddy.
Beep boop 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 beep bop boop. Hello, I'm a human. I know my awesome R2-D2 impression totally fooled all our listeners. Got you guys. You must feel like a fool right now. Hey.
I really just want to take that audio and make it my ringtone for everything now.
If I remember, I'll cut it and send it to you.
Oh, if only I knew how to make it my ringtone, I would say okay, but I don't.
If only.
Oh man, what a way to start an episode right there.
What a way. Okay, so I actually have a couple things to talk about before we actually we get into the prequel, or not the prequel, the crawl. I swear I'm a Star Wars fan. I know what I'm talking about.
Well, today we're talking about The Rise of Skywalker Part 1, if anybody didn't know.
Yeah, because I made that totally clear with what I was saying.
Yeah, quick disclaimer to everyone listening. If you've listened to these past couple episodes and you think that I've been sick for the past 2 months, that's not true. Mother Goose and I have been trying to record a couple times every weekend. So we have the catalog backed up a little bit here so we don't have to take these long hiatuses anymore. So I promise, by the time you're listening to this, I've probably been okay for a while.
Yeah, I at least hope you've been okay for a while.
Either that or I'm dead. They'll never know.
I mean, well, if, I just randomly get a new co-host, they might figure it out.
Right, but they don't know how many episodes we have backed up here. You could be doing this show for years, and I could have been gone.
Yeah, for sure. I hope not, though.
How do they know that this isn't a robot right now?
Beep boop, ba ba boop boop, ba.
I am sentient.
Okay. So, just looking at these, when looking at these films overall, I really wish that the directors, specifically J.J. Abrams, I'm not really sure how Rian Johnson felt about it, but I just wish there was an appreciation for the prequels and the extended prequel universe, like the Clone Wars, Rebels. Bad Batch wasn't out at the time, but there's just so much great stuff that they could have. There's so many references to the original trilogy, and I know I mentioned this in our last episode, but the more I watch these films, the more I think about it. It just does not feel connected to the prequels at all.
Yeah, I guess it really focuses on the story of Darth Vader more than Anakin Skywalker.
Right. And we talked about this in our last episode. It's hard to, we can't just look at the shows now and be like, they're so good. Why weren't the movies like that? But I'm gonna do it. The shows feel like a continuation of both the prequels and the originals. Obviously more so the originals because they take place after the original trilogy, but there's still Clone Wars references here and there that just make it feel like a consistent story.
Yeah, see, I'm gonna have to say that's you putting on your spoiled Star Wars fan glasses with how great things have been, because I do have some things to talk about that we've seen in the shows lately.
Oh, great.
That everybody was completely okay with in, Mandalorian and Boba Fett and stuff like that, but whenever they happened in this movie, it was a ripoff, and how are you just bringing this stuff back with no explanation?
Okay. I don't really know what you're referencing to, but I'm super excited to actually talk about that.
You'll figure it out. It's not that big a deal.
Cool. And then I think, I got 2 more things before we get into the crawl. I really hated this name. How do you feel about The Rise of Skywalker?
I thought it was going to be, I mean, I thought it was, for what the title was, I thought it was going to be different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. But it's probably my least favorite out of all the main films, like, titles. It just feels weird. And maybe that's just me, maybe that's just my opinion, but if it doesn't fit like the rest do.
I will say, though, like you said, you wanted to cover a couple things before we got in the crawl. I was surprised with how much, like, it wasn't like this was the best Star Wars film I'd ever seen. And it's not like I was super excited to watch it today. But I was surprised at how much I did enjoy watching the first half of this film. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to stop watching whenever it got to the point that you said was going to be our halfway for this episode.
Okay, same, actually. This was the only film out of the sequel trilogy that I wasn't, like, desperately waiting for that mid part so I could stop watching.
No, I watch it here in my office because it's easier for me to take notes at my desk and everything, and I don't get as distracted as if I'm watching it in the living room. And I kept having to, like, scroll over on my laptop to make sure I wasn't going over the time that you said we would need to stop at.
Yeah,
which was
me
surprising for me.
I was really surprised. Like, this movie was a lot better than I thought it would be. Like, at least the first half of the film, and this might change on the second half because I haven't seen it in so long, but this, I know I said it multiple times with The Last Jedi, and I said it still felt like a soft reboot, but it felt like the most individual, most unique of the sequel trilogy. I'm going to take that back. The Rise of Skywalker, at least the first half, has felt like the most unique, the most its own film, and not really like a soft reboot.
You sure about that?
At least the first half. I mean, yeah, they're on a
You sure about that?
desert planet, but
You sure about it's not even that. It's just the way that the entire first part of the film, the first 5 minutes, you're going to say that you have been the soft reboot king this entire sequel trilogy, and you're not going to talk about the first 5 minutes of this film, really?
okay, you know what? We can get into that when we get there. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I'm not making a connection. But really, my last note is, did you hear the rumor that this wasn't J.J. Abrams' edit? That he made an edit of the film and thought that was the version that was going to be aired. Then he went to the premiere and he left saying, I did not edit that film. That was not my edit.
I think that sounds like a TMZ type of story.
Yeah, I'm not sure how true it is or not, but that would be really interesting if it was.
Not that TMZ isn't completely reliable, but you know what I mean.
Right. No, I think originally there was like a 3-hour cut of this film, and then it got cut down to like 2.5 hours, and then 2 hours and 10 minutes. But I'm not entirely sure. Let's get into the actual crawl.
Well, yeah, and there was so much like controversy surrounding this film.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have the Trevorrow script that's out there. You have, a couple of different Rise of Skywalker
Scripts
that are out there.
Yeah, I think they opened it up to a few writers to send in scripts, and then they picked the one they went with. But there was also the rumors that J.J. Abrams was trying to make the main villain the brother from the Clone Wars animated series.
Yes, from the Mortis trilogy.
Yes, and I heard rumors that they were potentially going to hire Matt Smith for it, which I thought would have been cool. But just to add on to what you were saying, there were a lot of different scripts, a lot of rumors. There's a lot going on with this film.
Yeah, there was almost as much like mystery and like rumors about this film as I feel that there was The Force Awakens.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, wasn't there also a rumor that at one point they were considering calling it The Duel of Fates?
Well, I think that's Trevorrow's script. I think that's what his is called.
That would have been
The Duel of the Fates.
awesome.
There's only one Duel of the Fates, my friend.
That is true. But as a title, I think it would have been a lot better than Rise of Skywalker.
It would have been a cool way to finish out the 9 Saga film.
Yeah, just a little tie back to the to episode 1.
Maybe that would have made people upset, but I mean, you've said it before in I forget what episode it was, but that I think the mindset you have to get into about the sequel trilogy is that it's the bookend for a 9 film story.
Like, yeah, it's got to be its own story, but it also is the conclusion of this saga, and a lot of it to me didn't really feel like a conclusion to the saga.
It's also hard to do that whenever it's about the, like, patriarch of this family. Anakin Skywalker is dead, and Padme is also dead.
And now Luke is dead, and Leia, well, Carrie Fisher passed, and so she wasn't able to obviously act in this film. They did what they could, which we'll talk about later, but Leia passes away as well. Han's dead, and then, spoilers, which we'll talk about when it comes to, the last Skywalker also dies in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, everybody dies.
Everyone dies.
Except for Chewie.
Yeah. Unless.
Okay, are we ready to talk about the crawl? It's been like 15 minutes.
Only 12 minutes. Record time.
Either way. Crawl time.
Okay, so I have a couple notes. So we get the reveal that Palpatine has come back. Did you know that message that they said he broadcast to the galaxy was revealed in a Fortnite event?
What?
Yeah, that's, if you want full context to this film, you had to have been in a Fortnite event that only happened once, like a week or a month before the film came out.
You're joking.
I am not. I was in the Fortnite event when it happened. It was actually pretty cool, but I think that's a horrible way to give such a big reveal that Palpatine is back. I think we already knew that he was back at this point, but like, we heard his broadcast to the galaxy.
Also, though, we've talked about, how Star Wars is for each generation. I think, as lame as it sounds, them doing that through Fortnite was probably pretty smart, because that is the generation that was watching this.
Listen, I had a huge addiction to Fortnite at the time. I've been a huge addict to Star Wars. It was great for me, but like, what about people who want to, like, you can't just go back and experience that event. It was a one-time event. I mean, I guess you could probably watch it on YouTube, but it's not necessarily the same. But no, I do agree.
I guess.
Using Fortnite as a marketing tool was very smart of them.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about the crawl?
Well, now I want you to explain the Fortnite Emperor message to me.
Oh, okay, yeah. Man, this was back in, 2019, so I don't remember exactly, but basically, I think a Star Destroyer landed, and some stormtroopers marched out, and then it played Palpatine's message, and he was just saying, I'm back, I'm gonna take over the galaxy, vaguely, and I definitely would recommend looking it up on YouTube. But, I mean, look at how big of a Star Wars fan you are, and you had no clue.
I remember that event happening. I mean, I've never played Fortnite, or like I think I played it like once, but I never got into it or anything, and never really had any drive to play it.
Yeah,
but I think I remember that event happening, but I didn't know that's how they dropped the message.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was a smart marketing tool, but for like hardcore fans, I feel like they should have also released it somewhere else as well, or maybe played it in the film and just let the Fortnite thing be like early access. Yeah.
I really only have one thing about the crawl.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's I'm paraphrasing, of course, but the Emperor's message going out, and hearing his voice, and then it saying like Kylo's looking to destroy him,
right?
And like he doesn't want anything affecting his rise to power and everything like that.
Yeah,
cool concept. I like it. I like the idea of, this message of the Emperor putting out to the galaxy that he is gonna take over the galaxy again or something. Like it was very vague.
Yeah.
Like it just said that he's like his voice is back, like a message.
Right.
And like you don't really know if he's back 100% or not. And and that Kylo's looking to destroy him because nothing can stand in the way of him ruling the First Order.
Yeah.
Cool concept. But I would have liked to them, instead of doing, and I'm going to like go into the next scene a little bit more and then backtrack with my next note because it's just part of my idea. But instead of Kylo like going to Exegol and actually seeing Palpatine, why couldn't they have made Palpatine like Darth Bane in the Clone Wars cartoon?
Right.
Where Yoda, we talked about it in a previous episode.
He was
where he
kind of semi-Force ghost, but he was attached to an item.
Right, which we've talked about before in a previous episode. I think that would have been a way cooler way to handle it. And
I think so too.
I think it would have been fine. I mean, hindsight's, 2020.
Yeah.
You probably still be upset that they brought Palpatine back again.
Right.
But maybe if they would have done it that way, it would have gone over better with fans to see him like a Darth Bane Force Ghost. But even then, you can make the point of, okay, they put out that message in Fortnite. If you've never seen Clone Wars, you're not really going to get the whole Darth Bane reference either.
Right, but they wouldn't even have to reference it. Because I don't think they ever say in the main films that Sith can't become Force ghosts. I think that's like EU extended knowledge kind of stuff. So I think basic fans would just be like, oh, he's a Force ghost. Okay, whatever. But that actually was my note. I absolutely hate that they brought Palpatine back. And I completely agree. If they were going to bring him back, a Force ghost attached to an item would have been so much better. Because it just completely, like, I've said it multiple times throughout these 5 episodes so far on the sequel trilogy. Or I guess this is the 5th. This will be my first time mentioning it. The galaxy feels exactly where it was at the beginning of Force Awakens, where it was at A New Hope. And the galaxy at the end of this trilogy and the end of the original trilogy feels like it's the same. And adding Palpatine to it just makes that so much worse. And it makes it feel like everything Luke did, everything Darth Vader went through, and his redemption back to the light side and him finally defeating the Sith was for nothing. And I wrote, you can tell a compelling story, a compelling sequel story, without undoing what the past heroes did.
Yeah, I think it was just that really like hard struggle of how do we finish out this 9-film saga without using the big bads from the previous ones.
Right. And I think on paper that makes sense. It's a 9-film saga, bring back the big bad. But in execution, it just didn't really work, I think. And I think if that was really their goal to finish off the 9-film saga, they should have had a plan from the very beginning, not make the films film by film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's really all I have for the crawl.
Okay, talk about Kylo Ren then.
Kylo Ren, he's killing people like an angry little boy. But this time, he's on Mustafar.
That was Mustafar?
Oh, literally. Okay, that was my next note. It is Mustafar, but you wouldn't know that because they never mention it in the film. I think in some of the promotional material, they said it was Mustafar and that the planet is slowly coming back. Like, it's slowly becoming an actual planet, not just a lava planet. But you would have no reference to that if you didn't, like... I think it was revealed maybe in a comic or literally maybe in promotional material. But that's something that has literally... They announced it before the film came out or shortly after, and it's been bothering me this whole time. Like, yeah, it's really cool they went back to Mustafar, but it looks so different. How are you supposed to know?
Is it? Like, are you 100% sure?
I am 99% sure. I can look at it. Look it up just
Please
to double
Google
check.
that real quick. I'm not doubting you, but it's just like... I've never known that this entire time. What? Rise of Skywalker has been out for... What?
2.5 years? Yeah, okay. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker saw Kylo return to Darth Vader's planet Mustafar, but you probably missed it. The molten world of Mustafar was one of the most important locations in the prequel trilogy site of a faithful battle between Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's portrayed a surprisingly prominent role but it's played a surprisingly prominent role in the Disney era. I'm not sure who to quote with that. I apologize. Let me see if I can find the author. Yeah, that was by Thomas Bacon on Screen Rant.
All right.
Anyway, that whole thing was a direct quote from Thomas Bacon. That's why I was trying to figure out who the author was.
Right. Yeah. No, I guess we went back to Mustafar and I never knew it. So
We're
okay.
back on Mustafar. Yeah. Like, literally all it would have took was a little, like... I know Star Wars doesn't really do this, but... little planet...
Like the Marvel thing?
Yeah. Or even just Kylo Ren on his way down saying, we've got to find this thing on Mustafar, or something. It's such an important planet.
Yeah, and I had no idea that's where we were. Okay, now the Wayfinder being there makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why they did it.
Well, there's a... Sorry to get off topic here. There's that... I didn't play it, and you don't have a VR set, do you?
I don't, but that's probably the next, like, big tech thing that I'm going to get whenever I can afford it.
Yeah, if I had time, I would totally play VR. But no, one of the VR games, it was
It's a Star Wars game.
Yeah, the Darth Vader Immortal, I think it was called.
Yeah, I've seen some gameplay of it, but I haven't watched a full playthrough.
Yeah, you should watch a full playthrough of it, because that has to do, like, it all takes place on Mustafar.
Cool, that's awesome.
And, like, it gets into, like, why Mustafar is destroyed, and, like, how it did used to have, like, trees and stuff. Like, it wasn't, like, a lush planet, or maybe it was. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've watched the gameplay. But, yeah, like, it used to be, like, a planet that had, like, trees and stuff. Like, there was some foliage.
You know, now that
it wasn't just lava fields and stuff.
Now that I think about it, I think that game might be the piece of content that explains how it starts to come back, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. But, again, I'm not entirely sure. Do you have anything about here? I've got one note at the very end, but I don't want to skip if you have anything.
It's like, it was just a small thing is, okay, so I know that the Wayfinder shows him how to get to Exegol.
Yeah.
But we really don't understand how he got there. Like, he has it plugged into his TIE fighter, and I understand that it's a map, but he goes through, like, that star thing,
right,
cloud, and then we see him, like, jump out of light speed, and he's at Exegol.
Right. And, okay, so that was my note as well. I just wanted to point out that transition of him actually looking into the Wayfinder and it shows the little green dot and it slowly fades into his actual ship. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, I love that they did that with the just the visual of it. I think that's really cool.
But yeah,
my whole thing was I just don't understand how he got to Exegol.
I think it's I'm not entirely sure. I think it might be like an autopilot, like it just takes him through that confusing mess surrounding it.
Oh, no, that's not true, because Rey does it later.
Right, that actually was one of the big complaints of the film. People were saying, how did she get there? And then in turn, how did the, like, army of people show up later?
Because Rey, she maps it as she goes through. And I think R2, like, sends the coordinates.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
so there's that.
You know, Rey's...
My whole thing was just, I just want to know how Kylo got there. And I know you can't explain every little thing in a movie, but I just want to know.
You know, you said it to me like 8 times in the last one. I gotta say it once to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Your disbelief. No, but in honesty, I do agree. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but...
Because he's out there in the unknown regions,
right,
which is like the wilds of space.
Right.
Like, it's where Snoke came from. It's where the First Order, like, rose out of. Like, you don't really know what's going on out there. It's the unknown regions for a reason. But can we get a little bit of context here?
Yeah. It's space GPS. There we go.
He's got a space tom-tom.
A space tom-tom.
That kind of dated us there.
Yeah.
Not many people know what a tom-tom is these days.
But we do. Let's go.
We do.
Okay, my next note is Palpatine, you little sneak. You pulled it through. You came back.
Yeah, so I like Palpatine's lines here as Kylo's like going through the fortress on Exegol.
Yeah.
And he says like, I'm every voice that's ever been in your head, and then he actually like does Snoke's voice.
Vader's voice.
Yeah. Like, that was cool. I like that. But if it would have been like a Darth Bane thing, it would have been a lot cooler.
I completely agree. And it should have been his lightsaber. I know he didn't use his lightsaber much. He actually didn't like using lightsabers, but it was such an iconic saber. And he probably had it on him when he died.
Well, he did have two.
Right. I was thinking more the one he used against the Jedi in Episode 3. But you're right, there's that second saber.
Yeah.
Anyway, it could have been whatever. It could have been his robes. I don't know, maybe he had a sick necklace, a gold chain around his neck underneath that we never saw. I don't care.
I think it would have been cool if it was his chair in the office.
You're right. I would have loved that. Yeah. Or his throne.
From the Death Star.
Yeah. Anything. I also wrote, you're not looking so good in terms of Palpatine. He looks very sickly.
Yeah. He looks rough. I want to know, not necessarily, this is like one of those moments in Star Wars where I just like kind of want to hang out there for a minute and like look at all the stuff.
Yeah.
And that's like all the cloning stuff. Like
Right.
you see 2 or 3 Snokes.
Yeah.
In a vat.
Right. Which I think is very interesting. I don't know. I feel like it was thrown in there to like connect the 3 films, but again, it would have been so much better if they'd actually had him, if that was the plan the whole time. Like they could have put little hints throughout the film.
Yeah, and wasn't like Snoke like a failed clone anyways?
I'm not entirely sure if he was failed or not, but I mean, if you're trying to do a 1-to-1 clone, I mean, that is not a 1-to-1 clone of Palpatine, so but maybe after he realized how useful this like failed Snoke clone was, maybe he decided, let's get a couple extra.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I really like seeing all the cloning stuff. And then just Palpatine and Kylo's like talk while they're face to face. I was just like, Palpatine just really knows how to reel in the Skywalkers, man.
He really does. Knows how to boost their ego.
Yeah, I'll give you everything. Just kill the girl.
Just kill the girl, yeah.
And you'll be the new emperor.
Uh-huh. With your new empire. Palpatine's totally not going to portray him later or anything.
He never does that.
I really like the lighting effect on his face, like as it's flashing.
It's creepy.
Yeah. And then I think my next note is, oh look, it's a Death Star, but small, and there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. First, we got a really big one that could destroy multiple planets. Now we got a really small one, but there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Palpatine and his planet killing
They
weapons.
were just... I mean, I guess if you've had some more years and, you know, dark side alchemy and cloning.
And army devoted to you, but where'd they get all the kyber crystals?
Do they even use kyber crystals?
Right? I don't think they'd have enough for an army that size.
It's got to be through some Sith alchemy.
Gotta be. The dark side of the Force. That's all.
Is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. How'd you feel about him saying that, like, beloved line in this film?
I liked it. I thought it was a nice call back. I don't know. I didn't really even think much of it. Like, I know he said it, but it didn't really click.
this was like one of the few times in this movie that I was okay with that. Like, it was okay, it fit, but like there are a bunch of times in this movie where I just sat there watching today. And I'm not trying to dog on the movie. Like we both said whenever we first started recording, like I didn't really want to stop watching today for whatever reason. I was
actually enjoying it.
But there's so many moments in this film where I'm just like, it just felt like pandering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's the better word for it. It just felt like pandering.
But you know what? The more I think about it, I think I'm going to retract my statement about this film not having enough prequel references. Because I wasn't even thinking about that line. We returned to Mustafar. Like, at least there's something. That's more than I can really say about the other two films.
Right, and we didn't even know we were on Mustafar. But it's funny that you point that out about, this is kind of going back to what you said, and it's a little bit off topic, and it might throw off the rhythm of everything, but I don't care. It's my show. You mentioned how, in Marvel, they, like, name the planets when you go on them.
Yeah.
Didn't they do that in, like, Solo or Rogue One? Like, they told you what planet you were on?
It has been a long time since I've seen either of those films, but that seems about right. I feel like in some Star Wars media, I've seen the names show up somewhere. I just can't remember exactly
It was either
where.
Solo or Rogue One.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I want to say it's Solo because I've seen that more, but it might be Rogue One, and I'm just remembering it wrong. But they did do that, and that could possibly be because of this instance right here. Like, nobody knew that was Mustafar.
Right. And, like, I think fans would have really appreciated that and had a lot of questions on, how did it become like this?
Yeah.
That's all I really have for that scene.
Yeah, the opening scene of the movie that we haven't gotten past, but that's okay.
We're only 34 minutes in.
It's fine.
Okay, is this specifically, though, what you were referencing to, the first 5 minutes of the film not being a soft reboot?
Yeah.
Yeah, just seeing Palpatine again?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think in terms of, like, the main gang and what they go through, at least in this first film, it did feel a little more unique. And that's why I was saying the second half, really, we'll have to wait and see, because a lot of it is going to focus on Palpatine, and I'm going to have a lot to say when we get there.
That's okay.
Okay, we see the chess game again.
Yes, the chess game and the return of the circle dish on the Falcon.
The return of the circle dish. Did it get destroyed in the last episode?
Well, in the last episode, it had the rectangular dish.
Right. Oh, you know what? Unless it specifically showed... It might have been when they broke through the crystals as the TIE fighters were following them, maybe?
It could have been. I know the cannon gets destroyed there again.
Yeah. But we get the...
I don't know what they had against the cannon throughout this sequel trilogy, but it gets destroyed.
A couple times, yeah.
Every single one. It gets destroyed in The Force Awakens. They break it.
Well, because they established it's really good at just taking out TIE fighters. Can't have something too powerful. Got to keep it a little balanced.
I guess so. But yeah, the circle dish is back, and they're playing the chess game again.
And I wrote down, they talk about how is he beating them so much, and they must be cheating, which I thought it was a funny line. I'm not trying to critique it, but I wrote, he beats you because he has the most practice. Stay mad.
They said that.
Oh, they did? I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
I was probably writing the note when they said it.
Yeah, they go, yeah, we know you're not cheating. You're 250 years old. Obviously, you're going to be better.
Yeah, okay. That literally was the point I was trying to make. I miss things while I'm writing notes, and that probably was it. That probably won't be the only time something like that happens.
It's okay, buddy. That's why I'm here. I'm here for you. Just like you're here to tell me that was Mustafar in the first 5 minutes that I didn't know about.
Then we get Cloud, the slug thing.
Yeah.
How do you feel about him?
It's Cloud. I don't really know how I feel about Poe and Finn and Chewie and Cloud.
Yeah.
Having the Falcon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that, it should be Chewie's ship. I don't mind Rey inheriting it or being a part of the crew, because Han specifically wanted to hire her.
Or is it just because you don't want to offend the females in the audience? Tell me how you really feel, Elijah. Tell me how you're a He-Man woman hater.
You know me, the He-Man woman hater. No, I actually really... I've said it a few times. I actually really like Rey I mean, there are definitely some things with her character that I didn't like, the writing and stuff. Like her basically being a Luke clone, and how I feel like she should have gotten her own story, so on and so forth. I can repeat this 1,000 times, but at the end of the day, I really do like Rey.
I know. I just wanted to give you a little bit of. I just wanted to.
You're just trying to get me canceled on Twitter. I understand.
Now, for the character, this is my first. I don't know if you knew this of this episode. I don't think I had one last episode. Maybe I did. I don't remember. The guy that they get the information from for R2. The little horned creature guy.
Yeah.
Bulio. That's his name.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Well, then you probably don't know who is voicing Bulio.
I do not.
That would be Mr. Mark Hamill himself.
What? All right. That's sick.
Yeah.
Of course.
If you go back and really listen to it, you can tell that it's him.
If I had a nickel for every time they killed off a character that Mark Hamill acted as in this trilogy, I'd have 2 nickels. But it's weird it happened twice, right?
Yeah. Well, Mark Hamill does like a bunch of characters in Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark Hamill's a fantastic voice actor. My goal is to get him on the show at some point.
Yeah, dream on, buddy, dream on.
Dream big. Okay, so that scene where they're transferring the data felt so much more suspenseful the first time I saw it. Like, this time it felt really quick, and I was like, oh, why was I even worried? But, like, in theaters, when we went to go see it, I was just sitting there like, are they gonna get it? Are they gonna get it?
I think a lot of that has to do with, like, the big screen and the feelings that you get whenever you see a movie in a movie theater.
You know, on a side note, I think a lot of people are saying that, you know, they're predicting that movie theaters are going to die out, and we're definitely seeing it die out a little bit, but no home viewing can ever really match that same feel of going to see a film in theater, and I really think that it's going to be a long time before theaters really die out.
Yeah, and I think with the whole like movie theater thing, and we don't have to stay on this forever, I wish we would see a resurgence of like drive-ins again.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I feel like drive-ins get a bad rap because, yeah, like the screen's not that great and like all that sort of thing, but I like drive-ins more than I do movie theaters.
Yeah, same. And I think it's more like, it's like, yeah, seeing the movie is great, but it's more of like a social thing. You know, it's a thing to go hang out with friends, or, you know, it's not.
And I've reached that point in my life where I hate socializing.
Yeah.
So,
you know, but it's not just about the film. But just so you know, our drive-in here at home still going strong.
All right, there we go.
Okay. We get our first mention of the spy.
Yes, the inside man.
The inside man. The moment they said it, I had a feeling like it was Hux.
Wow, spoiler alert.
Sorry, spoiler. But I don't know. There really was, I mean, I didn't feel like they'd make the spy someone we didn't know, and so that left us with Hux, Kylo Ren, and Phasma. She's still alive. I'm not entirely sure if she died or not.
I think Phasma's dead.
I think she died.
Phasma's dead.
Anyway, so I knew it wasn't going to be Kylo Ren.
Maybe it was BB-9E.
You know what? Maybe it was BB-9E. Forgot about him. Let's find out. I also wrote, is that Asgard? Like, I thought the place they were at looked really cool, but it, like, visually, it kind of reminded me of Asgard from the Marvel films.
Oh, the ice planet thing?
The one, you know, they've got the city on top and then the ice down below.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I'm not complaining at all. I just thought it still looked really cool. That's just what it reminded me of.
Okay, so if you don't have anything, I'll find out if I'm skipping ahead of you or not. Light speed skipping.
Yeah, really.
What do you think about it?
Really, the only thing I had that it goes into this is that we see that TIE fighters have hyperdrives now.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up with you too. Since when do TIE fighters have hyperdrives?
Right. Well, I mean, since now. But I do feel like It's just, as we've mentioned a couple times, just a natural progression of their technology.
Yeah, but that hasn't been shown before, and that has been like explained away, is the fact that TIEs are like small fighter ships,
Right.
and they're not meant to have hyperdrives
Right.
or light speed capabilities like X-Wings. Like X-Wings have light speed because they're not just like, they are light fighters, but they also are used as like escorts for bigger fighters and stuff like that.
Right. And I think, like I said, I really think it just comes down to the progression of technology. Somebody figured out how to give them hyperdrives. I think it would have been nice to get a more in-depth explanation, but I also think that it partly goes to what happens later in the film, which we'll talk about when we get there. But I thought light speed skipping was really cool. Like I appreciated all the planets we got to see, and I liked that it showed that there's actually a consequence to it, because like if there wasn't, why doesn't everyone just do it?
Yeah, the light speed skipping thing to me, like, yeah, it's a cool concept, but the whole idea of like light speed is, you know, even from like the older films, like you got to make sure that those coordinates are correct,
Right, or you're gonna end up dead.
Otherwise, you're gonna go into a star or a hyperspace lane that's got somebody else in it.
Right, or you'll run into a building, or crash into a planet, or
Or go through a star.
or land in an asteroid field, or there's so many things that could go wrong.
Yeah, so the whole idea of like, it was cool, and I'm not trying to hate on it. Like, great idea, because they know that they can track them through light speed now. So
Right.
like, I get that that's what the idea was, but it was also like, if light speed and getting the coordinates right is so important, why do the light speed skipping thing?
Yeah, I don't know. Also, we've established that the Millennium Falcon is great at taking out TIE fighters. There's only like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah,
Easy chump change.
easy.
That's really all I had to say. I definitely get that complaint. And I think really just the showing that the ship was on fire made me feel a little better about it.
Right, at least there was some sort of consequence for it.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have anything till the next scene.
You want to talk about Rey?
Let's talk about Rey.
So it made me think about that note that you had in The Last Jedi about Luke and how he was like sitting on the rock and had like all the rocks floating around.
Yeah,
him.
that's-
I guess they reused that idea here
Yeah.
for Rey.
I thought it was really cool. Again, I still wish we could have saw Luke doing it, but I'm glad we got to see Rey doing it.
I found the whole "be with me" thing. This is one of those moments that I was talking about earlier, that there are just these moments in this film where I like, it's kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
And not like in a good Star Wars cheesy kind of way.
Right, which okay, I'm going to give another spoiler warning. I think this goes into, it's trying to set up the whole I am all the Sith and I am all the Jedi moment, and I do think it's really cheesy.
Yeah. I mean, at least she kind of made fun of it with like being like, this isn't working.
Yeah.
And gets out of the meditation moment.
Right. Do you have anything before we see the lightsaber?
No, go ahead.
I wrote, the lightsaber's fixed. So glad they immediately took back that decision the last film made.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was necessarily a decision. Like, if it was a decision to get rid of that lightsaber, they wouldn't have left it in at the end.
Right. No, and the main reason I'm bringing that up is I will make that note a few times throughout. As we said in the last episode, I feel like every one of these films is a response to something. And this film was a response to audience's reaction to The Last Jedi. And so a really powerful moment in The Last Jedi is Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber getting broken, and then we immediately see it fixed. And then there's a couple other moments. I'll mention that as well.
You saying Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber reminded me of this thing. It's not really pertinent to what we're talking about now, but I don't care. Have you seen that post? Like, it's everywhere at this point about someone commenting on the Obi-Wan poster and saying, why is Obi-Wan carrying around Rey's lightsaber?
No. Seriously? I hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's real rough. I mean, it got passed down to Rey. I'm not going to say it's not her lightsaber, but at that point, that was Anakin's lightsaber.
It's always Anakin's lightsaber.
Also, we should have got her yellow lightsaber in the second film. Change my mind.
In the second film?
Yeah.
How would you have gotten her lightsaber to her in the second film?
By completely redoing all of it. That's how.
How dare you take that back right now? You're just a man baby.
I'm just a man baby. And I cry because Star Wars is bad now. Wah. No. I'm sorry. I really like Rey's lightsaber. I think it was really cool, and I really wish we had gotten it sooner so we could actually see her use that one.
Yeah, I guess.
Or even, I've given it so much slack for being soft reboots. Even just starting this film with her having a new lightsaber. And I would, if they had, I would be giving it the no. Oh, it's just a soft reboot. Like, Luke got a new
It's Luke getting his lightsaber, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I definitely would be making that note, but I still wish we had gotten her and her new lightsaber earlier, I guess. I know we do get it. Anyway.
I'm so confused at where we're at this point because we've just talked about everything.
We're at her training arc right now, and I just wrote she's got some anger issues.
Well, yeah. Well, it flashes back to Kylo again here during this. And we see the Vader helmet again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, if you're going to make it important, make it important.
Right. And I think a lot of that is, I don't think, we didn't see it at all in The Last Jedi, did we?
Yes.
We did?
Yes.
Okay. Then never mind.
Like, that could have been your Darth Bane moment there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they could have used the helmet that way, like, the entire film. Like, if they've, Palpatine said it's been him in his head the entire time.
Right.
Okay, fine. So have Palpatine inhabiting Vader's helmet.
That would be interesting. I would not... I don't know if I would have loved that, but I don't think I would have been against it. Also, and just things I really wish we should have seen Force Ghost Anakin in this film. Or at some point in this trilogy, telling Kylo he's a big dummy dumb. Changed my mind.
I mean, we hear Anakin's voice later, like much later.
Oh, yeah. But that's with Rey, right?
Yeah.
So she cuts a tree down and it lands on BB-8, and I just wrote, she hurt BB-8, let's cancel her. She pushed over and threatened an old man, and she cut a tree and made it fall on a droid, hurting it. Not looking too good, Rey. Twitter's gonna get you.
So maybe Rey is team death to the elderly.
Maybe she is. I forgot we were on that.
And also death to all droids.
Death to all droids. Yeah, I'm sure that's how the clones felt.
Yeah, exactly. See, you think that I am this evil person, but really I am all about equality.
All about equality.
By destruction.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. We get to see Leia here. How did you feel about how they handled Leia in this film?
I think they did the best that they could with what they had.
Yeah, I agree.
But before we talk about Leia, because this is going to be a good conversation.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
What do you think about Rey using the saber throw and actually seeing it? Like, we've never seen a lightsaber throw to completion.
Oh, with them catching it?
Yeah.
Didn't Vader catch it when he used the lightsaber throw in Return of the Jedi, or am I just wrong?
No, he just throws it, and then in the next shot, he has it again.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, technically, he probably caught it, quote unquote. We just never actually see it.
Yeah.
Cool. I thought it was cool. I love the lightsaber throw.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It's like...
It's one of those things that work really great in video games, but...
Yes, thank you. It looks really great in a video game, but in a film, it just doesn't look cool.
Yeah. Because, I mean, really, how often are you going to use that in an actual fight? I mean, we see Vader use it against Luke, but he's trying to cut the things on the catwalk that he's on, holding it up.
Right, so he won't have the high ground anymore.
Right, Anakin learned. Anakin learned.
He did.
But I don't think we've ever seen a lightsaber throw like at an actual opponent. Like at that opponent, not just in their direction. I don't know. It was a cool callback. But I do think there's a reason it doesn't really work so well in film.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It doesn't look that cool outside of video games.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready to talk about Leia and whether or not she is the better master.
I think she was. I really do. I'm going to have a long tangent about her whole Jedi training, but that we don't see in part 1, but I'm just letting you know when we get there, I have a lot to say.
That's interesting because that whole scene is about 30 seconds long, so...
I know it is. And it's probably the main thing I really want to talk about. But no, I think she was a really good master. And she should have been a Jedi in these films. Change my mind.
Maybe.
She should have been a Jedi, or she should have had a role. Like, I would have loved to see her be the new Chancellor. Like, either of those roles, I feel like would have been good natural progressions of Leia's character. But returning back to a Resistance leader, you know,
they're the rebellion.
Right.
Get it right.
Yeah, they're the rebellion now. Going back to a rebellion leader / fighter, you know, I just feel like her whole character arc and development was restarted. Same as Han, same as Luke. I've made this complaint about all of them, but I really would have liked her to see been in either of those roles, or maybe even both.
So I have another small problem here.
Yeah.
Is the dialogue between Rey and Leia right here, and Rey saying, like, I hope that I can earn your brother's saber. I don't understand that whole problem that she has with the saber here in like the first 20 minutes of the film.
I really, you know, I think a lot of the complaints I've seen about this film revolving dialogue and it just not being good have almost all of them are scenes that Leia's in, and I think they're really just trying to work around. They're trying to do the best they could with the footage they had.
Yeah, and maybe that's it. I didn't really take that into consideration because I mean they set Leia up to be like this, you know, Rey's new master. Like she even calls her master and everything, and it's obvious that that's what's going on.
Right.
But no, it was just that line in particular of like, I just thought it was written weird, and like the whole idea that she hadn't earned Luke's saber and that you had to earn a lightsaber.
Yeah.
When we know that that's not really how that works. Like you train,
right,
and then you find your kyber crystal,
and you build your own.
Yeah, and you build your lightsaber using the Force, and you know, using the Force to work through the crystal and your parts of your lightsaber to put it all together and to make it work.
Right. No,
but I guess whenever you don't have that traditional training, it doesn't work that way.
Right. I think a lot of the post Order 66 Jedi just have to do what they can, really, to get a lightsaber, which I really like. Something that I think handles that whole thing a lot better is Jedi Fallen Order with Cal Kestis.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, about
his,
Cal Kestis.
His journey to build his own lightsaber is a big part of that film, and that game. And like I said, I just feel like it was handled better.
Yeah.
No, I think, you know, like you said, I think they did what they could with Leia. But again, hindsight's 2020. I really think it would have been better if they just let Leia pass away when that ship got blown up. You know, and just not really had her in this film. Of course, it makes me really sad thinking about it, and it's really sad thinking about Carrie Fisher's passing, but, you know, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, my next thought about whenever they get back and the Falcon's on fire, like we talked about, is the dynamic of Rey and Poe.
Yeah.
And then Finn in the background. It's like mom and dad are fighting, and Finn is the kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it was some really weird, like, the tension between Rey and Poe is just really, it's weird. It's weird. I don't like it. I don't like their interactions at all.
Guess
through
what?
any of the
They've
films.
got a love interest now. They're each other's love interest.
It almost came off that way.
Yeah.
Like there was some, like it was almost like very Han and Leia-ish.
Right, because like at first it seems like they're actually arguing, and then they're kind of just like messing around with each other. It felt very flirty.
It was weird.
And then poor Poe just had to sit there and watch the love of his life flirt with someone else.
You mean Finn?
Dang it! Finn! I'm really struggling with these names, and I don't know why.
I do it too. It's okay.
And it's not even like they sound familiar. Like, Ben and Ren and Ray and Ren, like, okay, I could get me mixing that up. But Poe and Finn sound nothing alike.
No.
Okay, and then what I want to talk about is we get another Palpatine reveal, and I think it's just kind of weird that they... Do you have anything before this?
No, you're ready to talk about the big meeting about how Palpatine's returned?
Yeah, I think it's really weird because it said that the Palpatine's his voice had been broadcasted to the galaxy. Like, didn't they know he was already back?
I think it was just like a suspicion, though. Like
They weren't entirely sure.
Like maybe they thought it was a first order ploy to
Some propaganda.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that. That makes me feel a little better because I really, the more I thought about it, the more I got mad. I was like, that's not. They knew. They already knew he was back, but that actually
you can
makes
kind of
sense.
believe it because again, you know, back to video games. That kind of seems to be the theme with Star Wars these days, and I don't know why that is. But in Battlefront 2, you know, you have Operation Cinder, where
Right.
Palpatine had these droids with pre-recorded messages of himself that his face would literally be on the screen talking to his, you know, high-ranking admirals and stuff and giving them the plan for what was supposed to happen.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that they thought that there might be other pre-recorded messages.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
But no, I didn't like how this scene really played out either, where Poe is giving that speech of how he literally says he's like, somehow Palpatine returned. Like, the dialogue in this film was just really weird, and it just felt disjointed. Like, I write it down here somewhere. I forget where it is. Maybe it's on my next page and it happens later in the film. Let me look real quick.
Yeah. No. I will talk about
Yeah,
it.
it's later in the film, but here as well. I don't buy, and I don't think it's Oscar Isaac's fault at all. I think he's a good actor.
It's the script.
Yeah, you can only act something as hard as you can.
Right.
And I think he did what he did with what he had, and it just, like, it came off like he didn't even believe what he was saying in this moment.
And honestly, you know, again, it's part of, like, Leia was in that scene, and they had to write the dialogue in a way that could fit what they had recorded for her.
Maybe that is the problem. Maybe I need to rewatch the first half, or the scenes with Leia in it, and look at it that way.
Yeah, because there are a lot of scenes where I'm like, man, that is just horribly written. And almost all of them that I said that, Leia was in there. And I really think it was just because they were trying to work around and use what they had. Like, these Leia scenes were set. Like, Leia has to say this no matter what. So for that to make sense, our actors have to say this, this, and this.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely agree. I really
Which
wish...
that one guy explains, like, how Palpatine comes back. If you listen to him, he's kind of in the background, but he explains how Palpatine came back. It's
Mary or Pippin.
Yeah,
I can't remember which
and
one.
He was,
but...
he was also in Lost.
Right, but he just gives, like, a vague cloning, dark side magic. Like, he doesn't give a definitive, like, this is how Palpatine came back.
Well, no, he puts together all the dots for you.
Yeah.
Which, at least I'll give them that in this film. At least they don't leave it up to interpretation. They at least tell you. You just have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Which he says he's like the cloning from. He doesn't say Camino, but like the cloning stuff from Camino and dark side alchemy, which if you're gonna complain about Dark Side Alchemy, then go watch the Clone Wars, because Dark Side Alchemy is in Clone Wars,
Right.
and it's also in Rebels. Like they, Filoni made a point of showing Palpatine using dark side magic
Yeah. Yeah.
in that in what we thought was going to be the final
Season.
what wasn't even the final season of Clone Wars. Those were the lost episodes. Remember, those got re-released on
Netflix, right? When they got the rights to it.
yeah, they released them on Netflix, but they also came out on DVD before that, I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think it was a DVD special only, and then Netflix got a hold of it and they played the lost episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Palpatine uses dark side magic in that. Dooku uses magic, I think, at one point in the show,
I think so.
or he helps Palpatine use it.
Yeah.
And then
really-
he also uses it in Rebels.
Right. And really, it's just another dark side technique. Like, I know it's presented in a different way, but I mean, it's not really any different from like using force lightning or the force choke. It's just a different dark side technique.
Well, all the dark side alchemy stuff too, like, doesn't that come from like KOTOR? Like, isn't that in KOTOR as well?
I think so.
Or at least the second KOTOR?
I haven't played the second one, and I haven't played the first one since like either my 8th grade year, middle school, or my freshman year of high school.
Yeah, so like the dark side magic stuff has always been there, and I think it's in the EU a lot more.
Right.
But yeah, that's how Palpatine came back, and I at least appreciate that they said, okay, we know that fans are probably going to have an issue with this. Let's at least give them the answer right here.
Right. And then we get to see it more in The Mandalorian. The whole reason that they're trying to go after the child is for his blood.
But everybody accepts it in the That's what I was talking about before the show with you.
And I think part of that is because we already know where the story's going. We know that in the end, Palpatine is coming back.
Right, but everybody's so much more accepting of it, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like the fan base is more accepting of it in The Mandalorian than they were with this film, and I don't really understand that.
I think okay, part of it might be recency biases. It's one of the most recent things we get, and so it's what fans love the most. But like I said, I think it's because
or do you think it's because it has the Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni name on it?
Okay, listen, having their name on it is great, but there's a reason. Like, it's more than just their name. Like, these people really understand Star Wars and put a lot of hard work and love into it. And I'm not saying the sequel team doesn't, but Dave Filoni is George Lucas's true successor. And I think he understands Star Wars a lot better than most people do. Like, and when I say most people, I'm talking not just the people who worked on the film, but like the fans too. Like, he's got an understanding of Star Wars that we will never get.
Well, that reminds me a lot of whenever Rebels was still really popular, and I'm sure you've seen it, but the Freddie Prinze Jr., one of the interviews he did on a podcast.
Yeah.
And I can't really repeat any of the things he said on the show here, but it wasn't family friendly for the most part.
Yeah.
But if you want to go look it up, that's fine. Like, just go, YouTube, like Freddie Prinze Jr. He talks about the Force and how the Force works and everything and stuff like that, and just how Star Wars works. And he goes on and he's like, I had Dave Filoni teaching me about the Force, and Dave had George teach him the Force.
Right.
So to say that he doesn't understand it is wrong, and you're wrong for thinking that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great interview. Besides, if you don't know who Freddie Prinze Jr. is, mostly for our generation, he played Fred
in
the live action Scooby-Doo.
And I think he was the main voice actor for him as well, if I remember correctly, in a lot of the animated stuff.
Probably.
I really liked that interview, and I agree with what he was saying, but he was very mean about all of it. But I'm not disagreeing with him.
I think it's just, well, I mean, you look at Sam Witwer interviews as well.
Yeah.
And Sam Witwer is like one of the most passionate Star Wars guys around.
Yeah.
He's awesome. And I think whenever you look at him, and not compare him to Freddie Prinze Jr., but whenever you look at them both, like, they both love Star Wars a whole lot. They played really important Star Wars characters. Sam Witwer's played a couple of important Star Wars characters.
Right.
And I think they both understand the Force really well. Freddie Prinze Jr. is just a lot more vocal about his feelings.
Yeah.
Not that Sam Witwer isn't. He's vocal about it as well. But
to pull us,
Freddie Prinze Jr. really lets it out there.
Yeah, but to pull us back to The Mandalorian and why I feel like it worked, like fans accepted it here and didn't really accept it here, I think it's because it adds context to what happens here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's the backstory that everybody wanted that they didn't get.
Right, which I think, I love watching episodes 1 through 3 on its own. It's a fantastic experience. But watching the Clone Wars between episodes 2 and 3 just makes episode 3 so much better for me. And I think that's what The Mandalorian is going to be doing for the sequel trilogy.
We can only hope.
My next note is about Rose, but I think before then we have Leia and Rey's conversation about leaving, and then them actually starting to leave. I just don't really have any notes on that.
Yeah, so they have the meeting about Palpatine returning, and we went off on this long tangent about it.
Right.
And then the final order, like the fact that it's called the final order, like just again, it was one of those things written in this movie that I was just like,
cringe.
Really? The final order?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense when you've played Battlefront 2 and you understand.
I mean, it keeps into our World War II theme very well.
Right,
and I think that's something this film did really good. It definitely played up the World War II theme.
Right. And once you've played Battlefront 2, which I haven't, but I've watched a lot of gameplay of it, and you and I have talked about it a lot. It talks about all this stuff, right? Like all of Palpatine's quote-unquote orders. That's how the First Order gets their name. And then there was the what was it called? The operation where they were starting to like burn planets.
Oh, Operation Cinder?
Yeah. Wasn't that all under like Palpatine's orders?
Yeah, it was like his whole contingency plan if anything ever happened to him.
Right. And this is just like, yeah, it does seem a little cringy, but like you said, it plays onto the World War II theme, but then I also think it kind of ties that up. This is his final order in reference to his death contingency plan.
Yeah, it's just, I found it
a little
rough.
Cringy. Yeah, no, I get it. And it's so important to the film. Like, I'm all for extended media adding context and making these films better, but you shouldn't need to, have played Battlefront 2 to understand this game. You shouldn't have, or film, you shouldn't need to have been in a one-time Fortnite event to understand context for this film. You shouldn't have needed to read a 4-part Kylo Ren comic series to understand, like, really put into context what happened between Luke and Kylo. Like, these are things that should have been in the films.
But it's also, when you think about it, not all Star Wars fans enjoy the movies. Some people only like Star Wars video games. Some people only like Star Wars comics.
Right,
so
right.
If they didn't get that stuff, they would be doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It's just the reverse. Like, I shouldn't have to watch 9 films so that I can get my comic book series that I really love.
Yeah. I'll give that to you. That makes sense.
It's about everyone, Elijah.
Yeah.
Not just you.
No.
You selfish man.
No, I'm the thing that is.
It's fine. It's fine. As a person who endorses the force choking and killing of the beautiful and wonderful Senator Padme Amidala, it's fine.
It's never endorse that. But no, like, I love Star Wars, and I love getting as much context as I can. I love the films, I love the games, I love the comics, the books, everything. But not everyone's like that. A lot of people just watch the films, and a lot of people will just read the comics and just play the games. I do think, though, I don't have any numbers, and this is just me guessing, so I could be completely wrong. I do think there's a larger group of people, though, that just enjoy the film than there is a group of people that just enjoy the comics or just enjoy the games. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just wanted to give you
Give me a hard
counterpoint
time.
because it's fun.
Of course.
Yeah,
You know.
of course.
Yeah. You're just trying to get me canceled on Twitter. I get it.
It's fine.
Okay, do you have anything before they really leave?
Just the Rose and Finn interaction was weird.
Yeah, that was my next note. Yeah.
It was like, are they a thing? Are they not a thing? Are Rey and Poe a thing now? Are Rey, Poe, Finn, Rose all in a relationship
Give
together?
me a polyamorous relationship right now, Disney, you cowards.
I guess. I don't know, man. It was weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the whole relationship aspect of these films was handled well. But I
No,
mean,
because like it makes it seem like Rose and Finn have a thing right here.
in defense of this film, Leia and Luke did kiss each other multiple times throughout the original trilogy. So,
And I'm 100% okay with that. I endorse it.
Sweet Home Alabama. Please don't
If
sue
anybody's
us.
gonna kiss my sister, it's gonna be me.
So, you know, and you know, the whole Anakin and Anakin and Padme relationship, you know, she was a lot older than him. He was 9 when we first saw him. Like,
Hey. She was like 5 years older, okay?
okay, so she was 14 and he was 9. That means she was 18 when he was 13.
Your point?
My point is that's a crime.
They didn't get together until he was of legal age, sir.
No, that is true. But my whole point is that, like, relationships in Star Wars, except for, like, Han and Leia, have always just felt a little weird.
Hey, age is but a number, okay?
No.
I am like 4 years older than my wife.
I just want to clarify, we are grown adults. His wife is of legal age.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, once you're an adult, it's not such a big deal. But, you know, she was 18. He was 13.
They hadn't even seen each other since he was 9.
That is true. That is true. I'm trying to stick up for this film a little bit. This film's
And I'm
relationship-
not gonna let you slander Padme in the streets like this. All right?
Listen. I don't have a point I'm gonna make. I think it's really weird that they just sidelined Rose, though. Like, I know fans. Again, I said it in the last one. I'll say it here. She did not deserve the hate that she got from fans. Like, people were harassing her on her Instagram. Like, that's horrible. And maybe other social media accounts as well. But I know for sure her Instagram. She did not deserve the hate. But she also didn't deserve to just, like, get completely sidelined because fans didn't really like her.
Yeah, I don't know. The characters were treated really weird in this film.
Yeah. Again, I think a lot of it goes into the soft reboot nature of it.
Why don't you just get that tattooed onto your body?
I'm gonna get it tattooed right across my forehead, and then right under that,
think
I'm
you
gonna
should.
get consequences of the sins of its predecessor right under that. And I'm
Yes,
gonna
please.
eat my shorts on the little part of my cheeks above my beard.
Yes.
But no, I think, you know, Rey was Luke, Poe was Leia, Finn was Han, Chewie's Chewie. Who's Rey? Or not who's Rey? Who's Rose in that original group? She's no one. She's her own unique individual character, so of course she's got to get sidelined.
Maybe she's Lando. I don't know.
Maybe. I haven't thought about that. I kept thinking of DJ as Lando, but maybe Lando got split into two.
No, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I do.
Lando is so revered as a character, but he didn't really have. I mean, yeah, he was in the movie a lot in the second and third film.
Right.
But,
right.
I mean, he was a sideline character just as much as anybody else.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of things are just because of today's society, and I'm not saying that everybody shouldn't be represented in film. Everyone should be able to see a film and say, that character looks like me. I could be this character.
Right. Representation is really important.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm not fighting against that or anything, but I also think we talked about it before, is the minority of fans that say not complimentary things are heard much more than people who love these characters.
Right. Like, sadly, there are racist Star Wars fans, and they're very vocal about it. But that is not the majority.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one last thing before they leave. And it's the "there's so much I want to tell you" line, referring to Rey talking to Leia. And that line felt so real to me. It was I really felt like it was Daisy Ridley telling Carrie Fisher this.
Yeah, that line does mean a lot.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
It really is, and it's really powerful, and I think it's my favorite line in this film.
I like how, like, we get the answer about who Rey is right here, too, of Leia telling her, like, don't be afraid of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, do you have anything else here before we move on to Kylo?
No, I'm ready to move on to Kylo and finally seeing the Knights of Ren.
Yeah. So my note is the helmet's fixed. So glad they immediately took back the decision from the last film.
Yeah, but I mean, it also shows, like, I just try to find the good in as much of these films that I can. I think it just shows the fluctuation of Kylo Ren's character of he just never knows who he is.
Right. No, I actually really enjoyed this film, and depending on how our part 2 watch through goes through, this might be my new favorite out of this trilogy.
Wow.
But that depends on if it sticks to the landing. Again, I haven't watched it since 2019. But
well, you know how it ends, so I'm not going to say that it sticks to the landing. That's just my prediction right now, but I could be completely wrong.
No, you're right. I do know how it ends, but a lot of the other stuff leading up to that. But we'll just have to see. Okay, Knights of the Ren. They're actually in the film and not just in a flashback.
Yes, the Knights of the Ren.
I've said it about other things, but they should have been in the second film.
Yeah, so about the Knights of Ren coming back. Well, actually not even coming back, just being included in the movie at this point. Maybe it was just me not paying attention that well. Where were they? Were they on Ren's destroyer? Or, like, where were they? I'm so confused on where they were.
In this film or in...
No, like, in this scene, like, specifically, because they're in, like, this place
I think
where
so.
Kylo's getting his helmet reforged by, like, what seems to be this ape creature, who I thought was very interesting. I just want to know if they were on the destroyer or not, and why this ape creature was working for them. Maybe I'm thinking about things too much.
I'm going to go with yes, and it's the First Order, so he probably had to.
Yeah, he was probably some type of enslaved creature, which isn't a new ideal. The Empire's been doing that for forever. But
how did you feel about the Stormtrooper referring to them as ghouls?
Yeah, I mean, they don't seem like they're human.
Yeah.
You know, they seem like creatures, and they've been around for a while.
Yeah, so we know from the comic that they've been around at least since the fall of the Empire. They fought against Luke. We know that they're a group of Darkseid users, but the only ones that we know have actually used a lightsaber were the original Ren and Kylo. It just kind of feels like in Inquisitors, like they should have just been the Inquisitors.
Yeah, maybe you could have brought the Inquisitors back here.
Or like they could have made a tie, like the Knights of Ren were the natural progression of the Inquisitors. Like once Darth Vader fell, they decided to make their own order.
Well, I mean, there's still a couple Inquisitors that we don't know what happened. I think there's like maybe 3 that we don't know what happened.
Because there was at least 9?
Yeah, there was like 8 or 9.
Yeah, and we know 2, because there was the Ninth Sister in the Jedi Order, and then I think it was Second Sister, and then we get the Grand Inquisitor and 2 others in Rebels that I can think of off the top of my head. So that's at least 5 that we know their fates of.
Yeah.
So at most 4 still out there, but probably less.
I know 2 die in a Darth Vader comic.
Okay, so maybe 2 of them.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, the last number I know is Ninth Sister, but I mean, they could have gone all the way to, I don't know, 1,000th brother or something, but there probably were not that many. But
no, I think there were like only 9.
yeah, there was a small amount of them. But I just feel like that, and then the film mentions Jedi Hunters later on as well, but I just feel like they had the Inquisitors right there, like...
Right, talking about Ochi. Ochi was the Jedi Hunter.
Right. Ochi could have been one of the Inquisitors. I think that would have been a really cool callback to Rebels.
But it wasn't.
Hey everybody, it's Editor Elijah here. I apologize for the non-traditional outro. HouseDog and I went on for a while. We both had a lot to say and a lot we wanted to talk about this film, and listening back to it, it was just a little longer than I think we were expecting, so I decided to just split it up into 2 parts. So we'll be back here in 2 weeks with the next part of part 1 for The Rise of Skywalker. But I just wanted to say once again, thank you for listening to the Animal Squadron podcast, and I'll see you in the next one.